Okay, this video is called Open Letter to Doctors, or if you know a doctor, please share this with them. And this to the doctors: before today, it was not your fault. I know that 99% of medical students went into medicine because they wanted to help people. All of us were good students. We could have done lots of other things. We studied a lot, hoping to help people, to save people. We worked really long hours, took lots of call, were exhausted, went to lots of educational conferences and meetings. But something strange happened, and it happened slowly, so we didn't realize it. Residency trained us to live an unhealthy lifestyle. One of the great secrets of being a good doctor and being able to help people is trying to do everything good for your own health, and then you figure stuff out. So anyways, in residency, we were chronically sleep deprived, drinking coffee every day. We're often eating processed food brought to us by drug reps. It's fast, it's convenient. We're in a hurry, we're busy. We're often stressed out. There's always pressure to go faster and faster in medicine. When you're a resident, especially starting out, you sort of focus on doing the right thing, knowing what to do. But the more you get farther along in medicine, the more the pressure is, you got to get more done. You got to get more done. You have to be productive. You have to be efficient. And when you go faster and faster, you got less time to pay attention to quality and details. And you're going to be under pressure once you get out and have a job to make money for the clinic, the hospital, wherever you work. Okay, and medicine sort of doesn't really follow, hardly anyone follows outcomes on patients and how well they do in studies. And almost every place follows productivity, efficiency. How many surgeries did you perform? How many patients did you prescribe something? So you're working long hours, you got little time for your family, hardly any time for reading anything. And the older docs will tell you it's just the way it is. There's nothing else you could do. I've had older docs tell me that, medicine is just like selling hot dogs. You sell more hot dogs, you make more money. And then the strangest thing about medicine, though, was, you go into it in med school, you study pharmacology, it's like you match the ill to the pill, send the bill, it all makes sense. We've got a treatment for everything, this is great. But then you get out in the real world and you have all these patients coming in with chronic diseases, obesity, diabetes, hypertension, and they almost never get better, pretty much never get better. They just progressively get worse, crash and burn. So you say to yourself, what happened? All the billions of dollars spent on research, but how come conventional medicine never cures chronic disease patients? That's why they're called chronic, because they never get cured. So then you go back to the books. You buy one of those Ivy League textbooks, 2,000 pages long, you start cranking through them, but there's no useful information. It's the same old stuff. A lot of blah, blah, blah about differential diagnosis and laboratory tests and medications to prescribe, but they never explain what causes the disease. They never tell you how to cure it. And so it's also the case that lots of the patients, they're fat, they're lazy, cognitively slow, diabetics, drug addicts, heavy smokers, alcoholics, and, you do the best you can. But most patients aren't really going to do much. They're not that curious. It's just been the experience of most doctors. And then you look at the Ivy League recommendations about nutrition, and they'll say some vague stuff about the Mediterranean diet. If you ever looked at the pyramid of like the Walter Willett Harvard pyramid, Harvard School of Public Health, it's a joke. It's a bad version of the Mediterranean diet with olive oil and all these other cooking oils right at the bottom, most heavily consumed recommended level. It's ridiculous. It's not even mediocre. It's just wrong. So anyways, today's your lucky day. If you learn about the stuff on this YouTube channel or the other great YouTube channels, there's a lot of them, Dr. McDougall, Chef AJ, Veg Source, Dr. Esselstyn, and there's plenty of other ones too. You will learn that, or if you read one of my books, especially Journey to Optimal Health, you'll learn that Ivy League hospitals basically are a joke for treatment of chronic disease. All the major medical centers suck. They stink for treatment of chronic disease because they're all pharmacology based. As a matter of fact, I found it funny. In a lot of the major medical centers, their wellness, nutrition people are fat, which I found rather amusing. Okay, but once you start looking at these channels, you'll see the causes for chronic disease are actually known pretty well for most diseases, and most of these diseases are curable when caught early. And later on, maybe not, depending if there's irreversible tissue damage. Most diseases, about 75% of them, are caused by toxins and bad diet. It might be more than 75%. Okay, the information is all here. And this YouTube video channel, I got over 670 videos and go into great detail, more than you will find anywhere else, okay? And don't give me this Ivy League stuff. Those places are a joke, okay? I did some of my training in the Ivy League, all right? I know more about atherosclerosis than any of their guys. They're trying to trick you into thinking it's inflammation, sell you more drugs. I'll tell you the truth about atherosclerosis, diabetes, what's known about the pathophysiology of other common diseases. And some of them, a lot of them are curable. Not always, but a lot of them are. You'd be amazed. And even the ones you can't cure, a lot of times you can improve the patient's health and outcome. And then, like the disclaimer is, again, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. You're not going to make any money with this info, probably. You know, there's no money in this diet and toxicology understanding of it and stuff. And also, I'd say about 98% of patients, in my experience, will refuse to change their diet or behavior. You know, I have lots of people who kind of avoid me because they don't want me to talk about this stuff. And I don't talk about it. I don't, want to piss people off. I've had some, fat people. They don't want to hear about it. They're not going to change. They don't want to hear about it. But for you, as a physician, you'll be happier because you'll know you offered the patient a cure. You gave them a chance. You knew what to do. It's not your fault for being lazy and incompetent. You offered them a choice, and they can take it or leave it. And most will leave it, but at least you gave them a chance. And so when these patients, the majority that will refuse your advice, and you don't have a lot of time, so they have to really want to learn, which is rare. But you'll know when these patients go on to crash and burn and get drugged and surgerized, it's the patient's fault, not yours. So you'll feel better. So I hope this letter will actually make you happy. And the good news is this is what you always wanted when you went into training for medicine, to learn what causes disease, learn how to cure it, how to treat it. And it's actually known, and it's right here. So, and it's all free. So here it is. Learn how to become a doctor. Learn what actually happens to people. Don't just go through life being an ignoramus.